Welcome to the farewell ceremony in honor of the Honorable Patrick J. Murphy. Our host for today's ceremony is the Secretary of the Army, the Honorable Eric K. Fanning. Please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the singing of the national anthem by Staff Sergeant Chris Reddig from the United States Army Band and the invocation delivered by Chaplain Francis Foley, U.S. Naval Academy Command Chaplain.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
So let us pray. O Lord, through saints and poets who teach us it is more blessed to give than to receive, and for the valiant heart, nothing is impossible. We offer thanks for the service Patrick Murphy has given to our nation and to the soldiers and civilians who comprise the Army family. Thank you for the valor he has displayed in times of war and peace. As a soldier, he has defended freedom. As a lawyer, he has upheld the rule of law. And as a leader, he has cared for the brave men and women who serve our nation. Be pleased to reward him for the sacrifices he has made and for the example of dedication he has given. Reward too his wife, Jenny, and their children, Maggie and Jack, and all his family and friends who support him. They have shared in his service and sacrifice. May they share in his recognition and reward. Lord, bless all the soldiers and civilians who serve in the Department of the Army. May they continue to be the strong instruments to defend freedom and sustain justice. And finally, inspire all who are gathered here to use our talents, to do what is right, to defend what is true, and to pursue what is honorable. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Chief of Staff of the Army, General Mark A. Milley.
Now it's my turn. So, Father, thanks for doing that. You know, our chaplain, of course, Father Hurley. We got there early. Can't see us, huh? All right. So, Father Foley had to go to confession. He did, and he had to go see Father Hurley. And Father Hurley gave him as his penance. He had to get on his knees and say, "Go Army, beat Navy 10 times." That's true. I mean, I can't lie in front of a priest. You can't lie in front of a priest. Hey, thanks everybody for coming. And I'm only going to talk for a couple minutes and hand this off to Secretary Fanning. But this is, for me personally, it's kind of best times, worst times, bittersweet a little bit, because we're saying this week goodbye to both Secretary and the Undersecretary, and they've both done so much. Today, of course, is Undersecretary Murphy's day, and I've said before, you know, my mother's name is Murphy and his name is Murphy, and so we must be distant cousins in the past somewhere. And of course, he comes from the Philadelphia clan, and I'm from the Boston clan. And Boston is well known. It's a historical fact, actually, that Boston is the historical, philosophical, educational, and athletic capital of the United States. And so the Murphys from Boston did immigrate south, and some of them settled in the Philadelphia area. But I want to just emphasize that fact that we are probably kind of, weird as it sounds, probably cousins from way back when. But I do want to welcome your family. And Mom and Dad, thanks so much for being here. This is a great honor for having both of you guys here, Maggie and Jack. Thanks to both of you guys. You may or may not remember this, and this is why we film it. So someday you guys can watch this video and see us talk about your dad. And your dad's been a great American to all of us. And for Jenny, thanks so much for all your support. So today's a big day. And frankly, it's a sad day for me. And I think I speak on behalf of all of those in uniform that we say goodbye to Patrick Murphy. He's a guy who embodies what it means to be soldier for life. His enthusiasm, his love of the Army knows no bounds. He has an incredible amount of energy. We see him on social media all over the place, and thank you because you're triggering my new social media policy that I have to do. So, just kidding. That was a joke. That was a joke. So when you see that, but he has boundless love for those of us in uniform. You see him out there doing PT with soldiers. He wanted to jump. You never did do that, right? No. So he wanted to jump, but it took the Chief of Staff of the Army himself to prevent Patrick Murphy from exiting a perfectly good aircraft at an age that was far too old to be doing that. And of course, he didn't want to go through pre-jump training and do all the standards that are required, but we were able to prevent him from doing that. So he never actually did jump as a former paratrooper of the 82nd Airborne Division. He wanted to do that in the worst way. But thanks for not doing that. I appreciate that. But this is a guy who has done a huge amount. You're going to hear an award presented shortly, which goes over some of the technical things that he's done and some of the administrative things he's done and some of the leadership things he's done in his role as Undersecretary. But what I wanted to mention to you were some other things, not just the actual work-related stuff he's done, but what he has done in a different way as a leader. He has embodied not only soldier for life, but he's embodied those character traits that we value so deeply in senior leaders that are really important for all of us to try to emulate. Character traits like energy, integrity, character traits like honor and compassion and commitment to this force. And Secretary Murphy, you've got that in spades. You had it from the first day you come in to office, and you have it on the last day going out. And we also deeply appreciate, all of us, those very, very character traits that you embody every day. As many of you know, this week I'm saying goodbye to my second Secretary of the Army, my third Secretary of the Army, and my fourth Secretary of the Army. Of course, McHugh was my first, I guess. So, look at Florida Pino's back there saying, Chief, stop. So, but for all of us in uniform, I just want you to know from the bottom of all of our hearts how much we love you, how much we respect you, and how sad it is for all of us to see you go. You're a great man. You're a great soldier. You were a great soldier. You still are a great soldier. And you're a great secretary. And we appreciate your leadership during some very, very challenging times. And you've led us through a lot of various issues with great esteem and with great skill. And we personally appreciate that. So thanks, Secretary. And I look forward to serving with you at some point in the future in some capacity. So thanks very much for all you do.
Ladies and gentlemen, Secretary Fanning.
Thank you all for coming out today. How many of you were at Patrick's welcome ceremony about a year ago? All right, a good number of you. We don't have as many Murphys here today as we did then, but we have the important ones. Jenny, of course, Maggie and Jack, thank you for allowing your dad to do this. It's a huge sacrifice on behalf of the family, especially when they're living in different cities. But I can tell you this, and you can watch it on tape later if you don't remember, your dad always put you first. He was always racing to get out on the weekends so that he could be with you guys for dinner, take you to your games, and then get back into the office and tell us about it the next Monday. Early. He was up early to get here for that. So thank you for putting up with that. You get him back. And to parents, Margaret, Jack, thank you for coming again. Those of you who don't remember, Margaret, former nun. None of it took with Patrick, I think, and Jack, a Navy veteran, and then a longtime police officer. So thank you for your service as well. And it was a real nice, pleasant surprise to see that you were coming down here today so we could see you again. Patrick and I you know, it's not accurate to say we were picked as a team for this, but we were picked at the same time, came in together, well, theoretically. I came in, he came in, I left, I came back, but we've had some time here to work together. And I said it at his welcome ceremony. I was very excited to work with Patrick because he was and is a personal hero of mine for everything that he's done. And there was I was watching a news segment Sunday morning, and there was a picture of the president signing the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and there were like 6 people from the entire world standing behind the president that day, and Patrick Murphy was one of them. So thank you for your many years of service before you even came here. The role of the under is not very well appreciated by people who haven't served as an under. I was Under Secretary of the Air Force, briefly acting here in the Army. And I joke with people that I was more aware and in touch with what was going on across the Department of Defense, the Joint Force, as an undersecretary than as a secretary. And it's because the undersecretary and the service vice chiefs are our representatives in the DoD discussions, the larger echelon discussions. These are critical to getting the Army the resource, the support it needs. And you need someone down there who understands the issues, who's good at building relationships, and can communicate our service in front of all the other people who are trying to advocate for their service. And Patrick has done just an amazing job at that for our Army. I don't even get called by the Secretary of Defense because there are no issues he and the Vice haven't been able to solve. And we've had stability in our plan for 2 years that none of the other services can take credit for or can talk about right now, and that's in large part to Patrick's work. And then, of course, he's up to the game for all of us on a lot of things. I had this plan when I came in that I wanted to do something a little bit differently in how we communicate, use different platforms. Hired someone great to do that for me, but I think we all learned from your example and have just been trying to catch up the last year and a half to what you do and how you communicate. And in fact, I don't know sometimes whether we're competing or whether he's just helping me amplify my own communication, because every time I go on a trip, someone's like, "Hey, saw you doing push-ups this morning." I was sleeping this morning. That's the secretary. But I, after a while, just started saying, "Yeah, thank you." So much appreciated. I still get, I literally this weekend got an email thanking me for the periodic emails that I sent as secretary. I'm like, nope, thank you. You're welcome. So thank you for all you've done. Not only for what you've done for the Army, what you did before you came into this position. Thank you in advance for whatever you're going to do going forward, because we're certainly going to be watching. It's funny, some of the words the chief used when he was describing you are the exact same words I think everybody would use. There's just an energy and a passion there that, frankly, is exhausting. But at least we can put it to use for the Army, so much appreciated. And most of you were here, but I got to finish with the same story that I finished your welcome ceremony with, to see if it served you well during your time in the Pentagon, which is Patrick and a young soldier out in the field someplace in Iraq where it's very hot, and the young soldier is complaining about the heat and just sort of ramping up his complaint a little bit more as Patrick's keeping a smile on his face. And okay, Maggie and Jack, put your hands over your ears. This young soldier says, "This place sucks." And Patrick says, "It may suck, but you gotta embrace it." Words to live by in the Pentagon, yes? All right. Thank you very much for everything you've done.
Mr. Murphy, please join Secretary Fanning. The Declaration for Distinguished Civilian Service is presented to the Honorable Patrick J. Murphy. For extraordinary contributions while serving as the Undersecretary of the Army and Chief Management Officer from 4 January 2016 to 20 January 2017, during which time he also served as Acting Secretary of the Army for over 4 months. Mr. Murphy worked tirelessly to enhance the connections between the soldiers and civilians of the Army and the public that they serve. He worked relentlessly to frame the health of the civil-military relationship as a matter of strategic importance by consistently describing soldiers and veterans as civic assets. Mr. Murphy enhanced Army marketing platforms and effectiveness by partnering with film and other media industries, thereby significantly increasing the number of influencers and prospects who would recommend service in the Army. In his role as Chief Management Officer of the Army, he oversaw the implementation of headquarters delayering that resulted in more streamlined operations. He also led the transition of the enterprise resource planning environment with personnel, finance, and logistics and sustainment systems. His many contributions to the Army's efficiency and effectiveness reflect distinct credit upon him, the Army Secretariat, and the Department of the Army. Signed, Eric K. Fanning, Secretary of the Army. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Murphy will now be presented the Army Leadership Award in honor of his dedicated service to the Army. At this time, a length of service certificate and pin are being presented to Mr. Murphy for 10 years of service to the United States government.
It may feel like it, but it was not all in this job. I assume that's right, Zeta.
Thank you, Secretary Fanning. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Patrick J. Murphy.
Thanks, everybody, and I'll keep it short and sweet. Secretary Fanning, thank you so much for hosting this and for your remarks. It's been great to work with you, and the sacrifices that you and Ben have made have been tremendous. And your energy has infused the whole team and your perspective. There is no one that knows the Pentagon more than you, being in every service, and what you've brought to the Army team, and you finally made it to the varsity team is much appreciated. And I say that my dad is a Navy vet and my brother is an Air Force officer, but thank you. And the Chief and Holly Ann, thank you very much for being here. I always joke that the Fab Five, so it's the Secretary, the Chief, the Vice, me, and Sergeant Major. You know, when I came to the job, I had known General Milley because he was our ground forces commander after 9/11 in Bosnia. And over the weekend, I went back through my notes in Bosnia, just thinking about things. And you know, I used to brief him on criminal justice issues. I was a command judge advocate. But on the one day, and Father Full, you'll appreciate this, the one day I wrote in my journal was at Mass today, and during the sign of peace, Colonel Mark A. Milley shook my hand and said, "Peace be with you, Murph." And the fact that you knew my name, granted I had a name tape, but you made the cut. I mean, you made the journal. Just we have such a great team, and I did think it was a little disrespectful that the Chief sent the Vice across the continent because the Pats and the Steelers are playing this weekend. So I thought that was a little much, but you know. But I know Sergeant Major's here to represent the Steelers, which is the second best team in Pennsylvania after the Eagles. So, but all of you and everybody, the assistant secretaries, general counsel, Valerie Miller, just the whole team. This is the best team, not just in the Pentagon, but in the whole services. And we are just so blessed to work every single day on behalf of these 1.5 million folks, 1.3 million folks that work on our team. the civilians and the soldiers that represent the best of America. And what you do every day really makes a difference. To Secretary Fanning's point, it was a crazy kind of, past year, getting confirmed last December. And then in the first week, the little things that people don't, necessarily don't see. The first week was the first day I was here, we had lost Sergeant Matt McClintock. And then going up to be with his wife Allie up for the fight transfer at Dover. It was my first day in the role of acting secretary. To be there and to let her son Declan know, who's 3 months old, that we will never forget and we will always tell your father's story. Because that's a sacrifice that we all hope to make worthwhile, to make sure that we make this a better union, better nation, and a better world for so many people that count on us to make it better every day. So I want to thank all of you this has been such an honor. I never thought 23 years ago when I joined the Army at age 19 that I'd be here in this capacity, and you've made it so worthwhile. It has felt like 10 years at times, but it's because I loved it so much, and it's been great. And I feel like I'm bonded with so many of you. Father Foy, thanks for making the cut. If you didn't notice, I asked Father Foy. Chaplain Hurley is my guy. He's a former hockey player. I was a little upset that Father Foy. We had the Army-Navy hockey game this year. Army won, starting off Army-Navy week the right way. We won 5-3. Father Foley had Chaplain Hurley at the Naval Academy, so he couldn't play on our game, so that was kind of taking one of our best players away. I will say there's some confessions afterwards. I don't know if you know this, but General McConville, it was non-check game. He, I think, checked the superintendent of the Naval Academy right in front of the vet. Those Boston guys, especially guys from Quincy, they're but if you didn't know, Father Foley, who was my parish priest growing up at St. Anselm's, and I worked at the rectory on the weekends. Father Foley gave the invocation this year before the Army-Navy game, which we won. So we might have to invite him back next year. So it's back in Philadelphia. But sir, I had to bust your chops about that. But last, I do want to say thank you. I couldn't have done any of this without my family. Jenny, you've given so much. You're basically like a single mom during the week when I was gone. I know that, and I just really appreciate the sacrifice that you've made and that Maggie and Jack have made. Everybody asks me what's next, and that means I do what I always do. I coach hockey on the weekends. Now I'll be coaching back on Wednesday nights. But I love you guys. You're the best team you could ever ask for. I love you so much. And Mom and Dad, thank you for picking up the slack when I was gone, taking my kids, to dance and the piano classes, and the hockey when I'm not there really meant a lot. And I know you've instilled what public service is all about. To JJ, my brother, and our sister Kathy, who's a school teacher at public school, and we hope we've all made you proud for our efforts. So thanks everybody. This is not goodbye, as the chief said, and I'm a soldier for life. So I'm always a phone call away, and I'll do anything I could ever do for you or your families, and I will work with every fiber of my being to make our team even better. God bless all.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and join Staff Sergeant Reddick for the singing of the Army Song.
March along, sing a song with the army of the free. Count the brave, count the true, who have fought to victory. We're the army and proud of our name. We're the army and proudly proclaim. First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along. Then it's hi, hi, hey, the army's on its way. Count off the cadence loud and strong, for where'er we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are invited to congratulate Mr. Murphy and his family in the receiving line. This concludes today's ceremony. Thank you.